Greetings, fam, and welcome to another episode of Wine and Wisdom. I am Dr. Carlia East. I bring the wisdom and you bring the wine. Get ready to sip, savor, and elevate your minds as we jump right back into our Q&A edition. So let's start with our first question. How do I stop overthinking everything and just trust myself? How do I stop overthinking? Well, first of all, it's very normal that we are overthinking things. There's a lot of shit going on in the world. And so there's a lot of different compartments that we're placing in our minds in order for us to be able to navigate life in general. So it makes sense that you're having a hard time kind of putting those things into play. The first step, though, is to recognize what your spiral is, meaning what are your triggers? What causes you to spiral? Is it the news? Is it a family member or a phone call? Is it an alarm system? Is it something that's, causing and triggering you, to start your spiraling process? That's important because you need to be able to catch yourself. Be like, okay, I'm doing it, or I'm about to go down the rabbit hole. And then also being able to have something else that you can think about to counter that negative thought. Sometimes just the question is the thought process that I'm having right now really beneficial to me? Right? And one of the things that I try to teach a lot of is being able to reframe that energy when it happens. So yes, you can definitely understand that you're spiraling. You can catch yourself and say, okay, I'm having a negative thought, but I don't want to paint the picture that like your negative thought doesn't have validity, because it does. It's there for a reason. There's fear, there's angst, there's concern, there's maybe history. And so the fact that you're feeling your feels, granted, is allowed. The purpose is for you not to live in those feelings, right? So identify the spiral, but then also reframe it. So I'm going to say that life is shitty right now, but what about life is not so shitty? What about life is sugary? So again, reframing is about taking which is half empty and turning it into a half full glass, right? So you want to practice that. You also want to be mindful of, once you come to a decision, owning that decision, knowing that you've already done the process ahead of time. Oftentimes when we are questioning ourselves and we don't trust ourselves, it's because we go back on our own word, like we renege on ourselves. And so once you have done the due process of going down, those steps and making the decisions that you need to make, you got to stop backtracking on your shit. Like, you got to own it. You got to stand in the paint on that, because those decisions that you're making, you've already processed. So why are you allowing anybody else, first of all, which is what happens, someone else comes in with their opinion, their idea, their seed they try to plant, or why are you prolonging your decision process because you're nervous about the outcome? Right? You're nervous about how the other person may receive it. I'm going to take you back to square one. Is this something that is necessary for you? Is this necessary for you to feel love, to feel light, to feel, joy? Is this necessary? Then you got to say what you need to say and do what you need to do, right? So you can't pause on that, right? You need to own that decision. And lastly, you got to silence that little voice in you that questions everything that you do. And how do we silence that voice? Because people are like, yeah, silence it, ignore it, but that shit ain't working. Use evidence, as evidenced by. So that inner critic and that voice is going to come out and tell you, well, you're going to fail at this, or you're not going to be successful, or he or she is not going to like you, or whatever the case may be. So guess what? By you silencing that critic, you're saying, oh, really? Well, how about in this time, circa 19, circa 20 something, circa last Sunday, I was doing A, B, C, and D. So oftentimes when we are fearful about something, it's because we don't realize that we've already gone through that something. It may be in a different form and it may be in a different, light, but we've gone through that similar scenario before. So why the hell are we going to act like we don't have the tools and don't know how to navigate the shit? Because we do. So sometimes you need to counter your negative thought processes with the realities of what you've already achieved and what you've already overcome. Because that's truth too, and ain't no need to argue with that. All right. So those are your 3 nuggets to kind of help you to learn to stop overthinking stuff and to trust your gut. Let's go to our second question that we got. So why do I self-sabotage when things are finally going good? Ooh, why do I self-sabotage? Well, there's a bunch of reasons why people self-sabotage. We self-sabotage because of fear, because we don't feel like we deserve to be in the position. We don't know what good or healthy relationships or good or healthy dynamics in our lives look like. And so when anything healthy comes, we're like, what the fuck is that? Okay. Also, if we are used to chaos, when silence comes, that almost is deafening, like death to us. And so it's a huge fear because it's such a huge transition. So there's lots of reasons why we tend to self-sabotage, but these are some basic things. Number 1, the fear of the unknown. We're afraid of what's on the other side. Like, if I'm used to going through the mud, then I'm used to the mud. Like, I can clean up. I still get dirty and stuff, but I know how to make it through the mud. But like, you want me to make it through some like clear water? You want me to make it through that? Like, I know it sounds refreshing and motivating and everything, but I know how to make it through the mud. That's what I know. And now you expect me to try to make it through something else that I know is better for me, but I don't know what's on the other side of better. That fear and that angst is what keeps us kind of stuck in the mud, right? You also got to understand that when you have that fear and that angst, you got to use that as kind of like your little mini spidey senses saying, okay, the fact that I'm nervous about making this move means that there's a potential for this move to be awesome for me. Because anxiety comes in two forms. It comes in, hey, you in danger, girl. But it also comes like full steam ahead, chick, like let's go. So depending on right what's going on in your life and that issue, you know when you're self-sabotaging. So you've got to identify that fear as an opportunity, right, and not a hindrance. The next thing you got to recognize in order to stop self-sabotaging is to know the root of your self-sabotaging behavior, i.e. you got shit going on, i.e. you need to go see a therapist, i.e. come see me, okay, so I can get you together. Listen, we self-sabotage good and positive, healthy things because we're used to negative and unhealthy things. And so we have to learn that not only are those things unhealthy and negative, but how to heal past them. See, many of us know that we have trauma in our past, right? Like, you could be like, yeah, my parents were jacked up, or I had an abusive relationship, or it was hard, we were poor, whatever the situation is, right? I lost someone. We have difficult past, but none of us are able to tell the story of how we heal through that. We just are like, oh, well, I moved on, out of sight, out of mind. No, boo, you still got residuals. That's why you keep sabotaging your shit, or that's why you keep attracting the wrong person, is because you still got residuals of the last person on you. And that's why you can't move forward. Again, unhealed wounds. You got to be able to address them. And if you can't address them by yourself and you can't address them with support of your community or your church, that's why God made therapists, okay, in your image. So we can help y'all get through this. You get what I'm saying? Because I want you to live your best life, but you can't live your best life if you're still suffering from your past life. Hello. Next is some people are used to the chaos because that brings them comfort. I know, right? But think about it this way. If you've been in a chaotic dynamic with anybody, whether it's a family member or someone that you've been intimately involved with, and their chaos always tends to come with the I love you on the end of it, or that's the way that they show you any attention at all, or that's the way that they show you that you even matter to them, that's how you've learned to receive affection. Right? And so if I've learned or taught myself, that when this person is mean to me, or when this person dismisses me, or when they fuss at me, that means that they actually love me, then I almost crave the chaos. I almost crave the negativity, right? I feed off of that shit because it makes me feel noticed. It makes me feel alive. It makes me feel like I matter. You see what I'm saying? And that type of like oxymoron or opposite in the way that we think and what we know to be true is why we have to sometimes seek help from others to help us understand and paint that picture for us and then break that shit down to the white meat so that we can heal from it, right? And so these are the things that I want you to kind of keep in mind. Like our self-sabotaging behaviors aren't surface level. They are deep. You know what I mean? And sometimes those seeds that have been planted in those depths aren't even planted by us. They're planted by the ones that we love, right? Because they weren't healthy in their own way. So again, there's a lot to unpack there, but that's why I'm here to help you guys unpack it, okay? If I struck a chord or struck a nerve with you, that means that you need to have a conversation with me. So stop playing. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and click the button and make an appointment so that we can get your healing right, okay? Because we got to move forward. We can't keep living in stagnation and living in reverse, okay? Again, I hope I was helpful today. You guys like, share, my tips with others. And if you have, any more questions that you want to send, please keep sending those in because I love answering them. And I will see you guys in a couple of weeks. Take care. Be blessed. Bye.